So all of this Democrats, Red Scare, Russia, Russia, Russia that's been going on actually goes back to the McCarthyism of the 50s. And in the 50s, it was used as basically it was an excuse to attack the civil rights movement. And the similarities of what were happening then and what's happening now are these, which is really keeping the country divided, keeping the country distracted and scared, and crushing workers' rights. Because labor, if you think about it, the labor movements were so diverse in the 20s and 30s. They included all different types of people and ethnicities. And that's the thing that they know. If everybody gets together, and we've talked about this, is what the third party would be. Dave Reinitz talked about this in an interview, Eddie Pepitone, and I've talked about it. That's why a third party really needs to have a strong labor movement. And maybe one of the Green Party's tenets is labor, because labor unifies everybody. Everybody knows what it's like to need a good job. Everybody understands about wages to feed yourself and your family, and benefits and healthcare costs and retirement. Like, that is a very real basic human thing that transcends every class, ethnicity, socioeconomic, religion, political affiliation. It transcends all of that. And when you see what the Democrats are doing and how it's similar to the McCarthy era stuff of the 50s, it really, it uncovers more of what the deep state is doing. You know, and that's what we do a lot on this show, and why you guys come to independent media on YouTube is because the corporate media isn't going to do this, you know. And as they attack like RT, right? RT is now a foreign, you know, entity or something. They're foreign invaders, the Russian TV, RT network. It's so funny, and people and neoliberals, I mean, the left is going along with it more than anyone, which is kind of insane to me. Because why is no one asking then, if we're going to question where RT, and it's a fair question, say, well, RT is Russian TV, they're getting their funding and their directives from Russia, so Putin must have some involvement in that, right? That's a fair question to ask. Then how can you not ask, well, why is Boeing buying ad time on MSNBC? Is it really because someone's sitting there watching TV going, honey, maybe it's time for us to buy a new F-18. Boeing's having a winter clearance sale, just like Lexus. And then there's like a Boeing with a bow on it. There's an F-18 in the driveway, and the kids, oh, Daddy bought us a fighter jet. No. Boeing is buying ad time on MSNBC and CNN and Fox and ABC and all that, because they're not telling people like Brian Williams and Wolf Blitzer and Rachel Maddow what to say. They're just making sure they don't go after them. They don't really do a story about the military-industrial complex. They'll let Rachel Maddow, Russia, connect the dots and talk about Trump golfing and whatever else, all till they're blue in the face. But they cannot sit there and say, oh, the reason we're going into Syria is the petrodollar and it's all bullshit. So you're really starting to see. And so that's what this whole Russia hysteria is all about. There's an article actually from the World Socialist Web Site, and I'll put the link below. It's very lengthy. It goes into the whole history of the McCarthy era and what the point of those first Red Scares were started in the late 30s. The House of Un-American Activities Committee, its original name and title and when it came in there. So I'm going to read you some excerpts from it because it's crazy to watch this Red Scare hysteria. Oh, the Russians rigged the election of 2016. And what's so maddening about it, you want to ask that question, fine, but then everyone just like, well, I know Donna Brazil just basically said that Hillary and Debbie Wasserman Schultz rigged the primary. But anyway, it was Russia. Like, you want to ask if Russia was involved, fine. That's a fine question to ask, but then you're going to not take any of this other evidence. You just hear something that Russia bought ads on Facebook. They spent $100,000 on Facebook. Okay. Hillary Clinton had $1.5 billion in her war chest for her campaign. You really think that 100 grand swung it? That was it? 100 grand versus her $1.5 billion? God damn it. And what is going on is just, it's more keeping us divided. And this article goes into the fact that, they've used the Red Scare. The Russian, bots were fueling the Black Lives Matter movement. What? Oh, fuck off. So no Black Lives Matter, they're Putin puppets. Anything that challenges authority, anything that challenges power, anything that challenges the corporate state is, guess what? They're Russians. They're Russians. They've tried to do it with Julian Assange. Oh, he was a Russian. He was talking to Trump. Well, I was on the Jimmy Dore show and he showed all of his tweets that WikiLeaks was sending to the Trump administration, just doing journalism, trying to ask information. And of course, the mainstream media is like, oh, Julian Assange hates Hillary Clinton and he's pals with Trump. Hillary Clinton called him a Russian operative in an interview. It's madness. It's fucking madness. So we got to go to sites like the World Socialist Web Site to get sane information. But I want to go into the history a little bit. Here's something from the article. As the recent book Black Freedom, White Resistance, and Red Menace by Yasuhiro Katagiri explains, even after the Wisconsin senator, this is talking about Joe McCarthy in the 50s, even after the Wisconsin senator's disappearance from the national political arena, McCarthyism's unsavory legacies, the self-serving use and abuse, what am I, from Canada? Use and abuse of heresy and insinuation, the deliberate indifference to hard evidence, and the strident cries of communist conspiracy used to impugn the legitimacy of adversaries. Gee, any of those tactics sound familiar? Outlived their original inventor and remained a part of the national political scene. In the South, McCarthyism most often took a racist form. The charge of alien subversion, it's always a foreign, alien, foreigner, was directed against every struggle of the working class. Right? Build a wall. Those Mexicans are stealing our jobs. No, wait a minute. Giant corporations are actually taking undocumented immigrants because they need them for labor, because it was giant corporations can pay them below standard wages. They don't have to pay an undocumented health benefits or anything like that. But let's demonize them. They're escaping drug cartel violence that is caused by American drug use. Yeah, let's demonize them. Let's demonize more poor people. The charge of alien subversion was directed against every struggle of the working class in strikes and union organizing and in the fight against Jim Crow segregation. Though somewhat less well known as a target of red baiting, the civil rights movement is an important part of this history. A major role was played by the southern wing of the Democratic Party. Unchallenged by the administration of Franklin Roosevelt in the 30s, a prime example of the activities of the Southern Democrats is contained in the early history of the House Special Committee on Un-American Activities. The committee, which was founded in 1938 supposedly to examine Nazi and fascist activities, quickly turned almost exclusively to hunting socialists and communists. Socialists and communists are a threat to the corporate state. It was renamed the House Un-American Activities Committee in 1945 and continued its operations for the next 30 years. The committee was chaired by Martin Dees, a Democratic congressman from Texas, and it quickly became known as the Dees Committee. Dees' book, The Trojan Horse in America, it came out in 1940, declared Moscow has long considered the Negroes of the United States as excellent political recruits for the Communist Party. Wow! Black people are communists. Another reason to not trust them. And they're doing it today, saying Russian bots are fueling Black Lives Matter. Like everything in America is great. No one would want to riot. No one would want to protest. Everyone's totally okay with what happened to Freddie Gray and all these unarmed black men that have been killed. Everyone was fine with that, but the Russians stirred it up. Oh, Jesus. Oh, right. Okay. I think the Russians caused all those hurricanes that happened too, right? Didn't Putin just get in a speedboat and go really fast in a circle and that's what he caused them? I'm pretty sure that, and I think Jill Stein was driving one of the other boats. Look it up. Fact. And a burn bro did it. And there was a burn bro was in there somewhere. No doubt a burn bro did it. I think it was a bunch of burn bros were in the Caribbean being violent, like throwing chairs, and that caused a lot of those hurricanes. I'm pretty sure. I'm no scientist, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Oh, boy. So go into this article because it just, that example right there shows you. In 1940, they were tying, communists were scary, and they were tying them to the black community. Because we need everybody divided. If everyone got together, think about like all of those like poor working class or just middle class white people that voted for Trump. If you sat them down with like anybody that's working class, black, Latino, anyone that's struggling to get a job, not college educated, white collar jobs of any ethnicity. I'm talking about working class folks. And you sat them down, they probably would have a lot in common. Obviously, there's going to be some people that were just in the Klan or whatever, and they don't want to hear anyone that looks different. But you sat them down, they have the coal miner, the person in the inner city that can't find a job, the person in the farm community that can't find a job. They all would probably have very similar struggles. And the power elite knows this. They know this. If everyone gets together, then everyone gets together and then turns and goes, wait a minute, there's the problem over there. It's the corporate. It's the 1%ers. That's the problem. They want to keep us all divided. So I appreciate you watching this show. I appreciate you listening to different ideas like this and different information. And I try to find these obscure articles and websites and stuff like that because it's going to shine a light in a way, it's going to get a perspective in a way that we're not seeing in the corporate media. They're not going to say that. If the word socialist is mentioned on any of the corporate media, it's mentioned in a derogatory term. Every time. So, thanks for watching the show. And thanks for supporting this. I will keep speaking the truth, man. I'm not going to let anybody tell me what to say.